The street is alive with the hum of a city that never sleeps, a pulse of neon lights flickering against wet pavement, reflecting the rain that fell an hour ago. A man in a tailored coat moves through the crowd, his steps deliberate, his eyes scanning the faces around him. He's not searching for anyone in particular, but he's looking for something. Opportunity, a spark, a moment. The air smells of damp concrete and street food, the kind that lingers in your nostrils and makes you hungry for more than just a meal. He pauses at a corner where a group of women laugh under the glow of a bar's open sign, their voices cutting through the low rumble of traffic. One of them glances his way, her eyes catching his for a fraction of a second before she turns back to her friends. That's all he needs. A crack in the armor, a single moment where the world shifts, where power changes hands without a word. He doesn't smile. He doesn't need to. His presence does the work, calm, unyielding, like a predator who knows the hunt is already won. What makes this man different? Why does the air seem to bend around him, drawing eyes without effort? There's a secret here, one that's been whispered through centuries, hidden in the pages of a book written by a man who understood power better than anyone. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain. We're diving into the art of attraction, not through cheap tricks or rehearsed lines, but through the lens of a master strategist, Niccolo Machiavelli. This isn't about pickup lines or fleeting charm. This is about commanding attention, shaping desire, and winning without ever seeming to try. The scene shifts to a dimly lit bar where the clink of glasses and murmurs of conversation create a low symphony. Our man from the street is now inside, seated at a corner table, a glass of whiskey untouched in front of him. He's not here to drink. He's here to observe, to calculate. Across the room, a woman in a red dress leans against the bar, her posture relaxed but her eyes sharp, scanning the room like she's waiting for something or someone. She's beautiful, but it's not her beauty that holds the room. It's the way she carries herself, a quiet confidence that makes others lean in, eager to catch her words. Our man notices this. He doesn't move yet. He's not impatient. He knows that timing is everything, that the first move is rarely the one that wins the game. This is the first lesson Machiavelli would teach you. Power isn't in the loudest voice or the boldest action. It's in the pause, the moment where you hold back and let the world come to you. Attraction isn't about chasing. It's about creating a pull so strong that others can't resist stepping into your orbit. Let's step back for a moment, away from the bar, away from the city streets, and into the mind of a man who lived over 500 years ago. Niccolo Machiavelli wasn't writing about love or attraction in The Prince, his infamous guide to power. He was writing about conquest, about ruling men and bending them to your will. But here's the thing. The principles he laid out, strategy, perception, control, apply just as much to the game of attraction as they did to Renaissance politics. Machiavelli understood that human nature doesn't change. Whether it's a throne or a heart, the rules of winning are the same. You don't beg for power, you don't demand it. You take it, subtly, deliberately, until no one even realizes they've given it to you. That man in the bar, he's not just some guy with a good coat and a sharp jawline. He's a student of this game, whether he knows it or not. He's playing by rules that were written long before he was born, rules that we're about to unpack. Machiavelli's first lesson is about perception. In The Prince, he writes, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." In other words, what people see is more important than what you actually do. In the context of attraction, this means your presence, your aura, your energy matters more than your words. That man in the bar isn't shouting to be heard or waving his arms to get attention. He's still composed, a fixed point in a chaotic room. His posture says he belongs here, that this space is his as much as anyone's. Women notice this, not because he's trying to impress them, but because he's not. He's not performing. He's not desperate. And that lack of desperation is magnetic. It's the first contradiction of attraction. The less you seem to want something, the more others want to give it to you. Let's break this down further. Imagine you're in that bar watching the scene unfold. The woman in the red dress is now talking to a man who approached her too quickly, his words tumbling out in a rush, his smile too eager. She's polite, but her body language is closed, arms crossed, weight shifted away. He's trying too hard and she can feel it. Compare that to our man in the corner. He hasn't moved yet, but when he does, it'll be with purpose. He'll catch her eye again, maybe with a slight nod, a gesture so small it's almost invisible, but it's enough. She'll notice because it stands out in a room full of noise. This is Machiavelli's principle of economy. Never use more effort than necessary. In attraction, this translates to subtlety. A glance, a pause, a single well-timed word. These are the tools of a master. They're small, but they hit like a sledgehammer because they're unexpected. Now, let's talk about psychology, because attraction isn't just about what you do. It's about what's happening in her mind. Women, like men, are drawn to strength, but not the cartoonish kind you see in movies. It's not about muscles or money, though those don't hurt. It's about emotional strength, the kind that comes from certainty. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be both a lion and a fox, bold when needed, cunning always. In the game of attraction, this means you must project confidence without arrogance, intrigue without manipulation. The woman in the red dress isn't looking for a hero to save her or a clown to entertain her. She's looking for someone who feels like a challenge, someone who makes her wonder, who is this guy? That's where the mystery comes in. You don't tell her your life story in the first 5 minutes. You don't lay all your cards on the table. You give her just enough to spark curiosity, then pull back. Let her fill in the gaps. Let her imagination do the work. This leads us to the second block of our journey, the strategy of desire. Machiavelli was obsessed with control, not just of others, but of himself. He knew that the man who masters his own emotions masters the room. In attraction, this means you can't let your feelings run the show. You're interested in her, sure, but you're not a slave to that interest. You're not going to lose your cool if she doesn't smile back, or if she walks away. This is where most men fail. They see a beautiful woman and their brain short-circuits. They start talking too fast, laughing too loud, trying to impress her with stories that sound rehearsed even if they're true. Machiavelli would scoff at this. He'd tell you to slow down, to breathe, to treat her like she's just another person in the room. Not because she isn't special, but because treating her like she is gives her the power. And power, in Machiavelli's world, is never given away. Let's paint another picture. It's later now, and our man has made his move. He's standing near the bar, close enough to the woman in the red dress to speak without shouting, but far enough to keep the space between them charged. He doesn't open with a compliment or a cheesy line. Instead, he says something simple, almost mundane, but with a twist. "That drink looks like it has a story," he says, nodding at the glass in her hand. It's not a question, not a demand, just an observation that invites her to respond. She laughs, caught off guard, and says, "It's just a gin and tonic." But now she's looking at him, really looking, because he's different. He's not trying to win her over, he's just there, present, in control. This is the fox at work, cunning, indirect, planting a seed and letting it grow. What's happening here is a subtle shift in dynamics. By not chasing her, he's making her chase him, even if she doesn't realize it yet. This is Machiavelli's principle of scarcity applied to attraction. People want what's hard to get. If you're too available, too eager, you lose value. But if you're a puzzle, a challenge, you become irresistible. This doesn't mean playing games or being cruel. It means understanding that desire thrives in the unknown. You reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, letting her discover you rather than handing her the whole map. The man in the bar doesn't tell her his job, his dreams, his favorite movie. He asks her questions, not too many, just enough to keep her talking. He listens, not with a fake nod, but with genuine curiosity. Because that's another secret. People are drawn to those who make them feel interesting. Now let's dive deeper into the psychology of attraction, because this is where the real game is played. Women, like all humans, are wired to respond to certain cues: confidence, status, mystery. But there's something else, something Machiavelli would have understood instinctively: the power of contrast. If everyone in the room is loud, be quiet. If everyone is chasing, stand still. If everyone is predictable, be unpredictable. This isn't about being contrarian for the sake of it. It's about standing out without trying to stand out. The man in the bar isn't wearing a flashy suit or shouting to be heard. He's understated, but his presence is loud in its silence. He's the only one not trying to impress, and that's why he does. Machiavelli also taught us about the importance of adaptability. In The Prince, he writes, "The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers." In attraction, this means reading the room, reading her. Not every woman is the same. The woman in the red dress might respond to wit, but another might be drawn to quiet intensity. You have to be a chameleon, shifting your approach without losing your core. This is where emotional intelligence comes in. You're not just reacting to her words, you're reading her body language, her tone, the way her eyes move when she talks. Is she leaning in? Is she glancing away? Is she playing with her hair or fidgeting with her glass? These are signals, and a Machiavellian approach means you use them to guide your next move. Let's take this further. Suppose the conversation is flowing now. The woman in the red dress is laughing, her guard is down, and the space between them feels electric. This is where most men would push, thinking they've won. They'd ask for her number, try to close the deal. But our man doesn't. He knows that rushing the moment kills the magic. Instead, he pulls back slightly, not physically, but emotionally. He lets the conversation linger on a high note, then excuses himself to rejoin his friends or step outside for air. It's a calculated retreat, one that leaves her wanting more. Machiavelli would approve. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." Harsh but true. By stepping back, he's creating a void, a space where her mind starts to wonder, why did he leave? Will he come back? That wonder is the hook. This brings us to the concept of emotional domination, not in a cruel sense, but in the sense of owning the emotional landscape of the interaction. You're not controlling her, you're controlling the vibe. You set the tone, the pace, the energy. If you're nervous, she'll feel it. If you're calm, she'll mirror it. This is why self-mastery is so crucial. You can't lead her emotions if you're not in control of your own. Machiavelli would tell you to be a fortress, unshaken by external forces. In the bar, when another guy tries to interrupt, our man doesn't flinch. He acknowledges the intruder with a nod, maybe a slight smile, but he doesn't compete. He doesn't need to. His confidence is a wall, and the other guy bounces off it. The woman notices this, and it deepens her respect even if she doesn't say it. Let's shift gears to social tactics, because attraction doesn't happen in a vacuum. You're not just interacting with her, you're navigating a social ecosystem. The bar is full of other people, other men, other women, all watching, judging, influencing. Machiavelli was a master of alliances, and in this context, that means winning over her friends, her environment. If she's with a group, you don't ignore them to focus on her. You engage the group, charm them, make them laugh. You become the guy everyone likes, because social proof is a currency. If her friends like you, she's more likely to trust you. If the bartender knows your name, she notices. If the room feels like it's orbiting around you, she'll want to be part of that orbit. This is where storytelling comes in. Not the kind where you brag about your life, but the kind where you paint a picture. Maybe you tell a story about a trip you took, not to show off, but to share a moment that reveals something about you. Your curiosity, your humor, your resilience. You don't say, "I'm adventurous." You tell a story about getting lost in a foreign city and finding a hidden cafe where an old man taught you a phrase in a language you'll never speak again. It's specific, vivid, and it invites her to imagine herself in that world with you. Machiavelli would call this the art of persuasion, making someone want what you're offering without ever asking them to. Now, let's talk about the long game, because attraction isn't just about one night or one conversation. It's about planting seeds that grow over time. Machiavelli wrote, "The great majority of mankind are satisfied with appearances as though they were realities." This means you're not just building a moment, you're building a reputation, a myth. Every interaction is a brushstroke in the portrait of who you are. That man in the bar, he's not thinking about tonight, he's thinking about tomorrow, about the next time he sees her. about the way she'll remember him when she's alone with her thoughts. He's not desperate for her number because he knows she'll find a way to see him again. And if she doesn't, that's fine too. There are other nights, other bars, other women. His confidence comes from abundance, not scarcity. This mindset is what separates the amateur from the master. The amateur sees every interaction as a make-or-break moment. The master sees it as a single move in a larger game. He's not attached to the outcome because he knows the game never ends. This is Machiavelli's ultimate lesson. Power is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't win by being the loudest or the fastest. You win by being the one who's still standing when everyone else has burned out. In attraction, this means you don't chase validation. You don't need her to like you to feel good about yourself. You're already whole, and that wholeness is what draws her in. Let's circle back to the bar one last time. It's late now, the crowd thinning, the energy shifting to something softer, more intimate. The woman in the red dress is still there, and our man is back, standing closer now, their conversation quieter but no less charged. He's not pushing for anything. He's just present, letting the moment unfold. When he finally asks for her number, it's not a question, it's a suggestion. Casual, almost an afterthought. "We should grab a coffee sometime," he says, his tone implying it's her choice, but the subtext clear. She'd be foolish to say no. She smiles, types her number into his phone, and as he walks away, she's left with a feeling she can't quite name. It's not love, not yet. It's curiosity, intrigue, the beginning of something she wants to chase. This is the transformation Machiavelli's principles can unlock. Attraction isn't about tricks or gimmicks. It's about understanding power, perception, and human nature. It's about being the man who doesn't need to try because his presence is enough. It's about creating a pull so strong that others can't help but be drawn in. You don't have to be the loudest, the richest, or the best looking. You just have to be deliberate, composed, and unafraid to play the game on your terms. So here we are, at the end of this journey, standing in the glow of what's possible. You've seen how Machiavelli's principles, perception, control, scarcity, adaptability, can transform the way you move through the world. You've seen how a single glance, a well-timed pause, a story told with just the right cadence can shift the balance of power in your favor. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. The version who walks into a room and knows he belongs there. The version who doesn't chase but attracts. The version who plays the game not to win her but to win himself. Now it's your turn. Take these lessons and make them your own. Step into the world with the confidence of a prince, the cunning of a fox, and the patience of a man who knows the game is his to win. Don't just watch this video and move on. Act, experiment, test these ideas in the real world, because that's where the real transformation happens. Subscribe to this channel for more insights like this, because we're just getting started. Hit that like button if you felt something shift inside you, if you're ready to play the game differently. And drop a comment. Tell me how you're going to apply Machiavelli's principles in your own life. Let's build this community of men who don't just chase but attract. Let's rewrite the rules together. I'll see you in the next one.